Hey Geography peeps, welcome back to Flag Friday. Today's episode is going to be a heavy one because we're going to discuss Ethiopia, which has a lot of symbolism and a lot of backstory behind it. First of all, small minor mistake I made in the episode. This is actually not the president of Ethiopia, Mulatu Teshome. It's actually the former Prime Minister, Haile Mariam Desalegn. Sorry, I googled the image and then it just popped up for some reason. I don't know, I assumed it was right, but it wasn't, and I'm not that great on Ethiopian politics. I'm sorry, it was my fault. Alright, that being said, without further ado... Okay, there is so much to cover with Ethiopia because they have gone through so many transitions in just the past half century alone. Okay, so first of all, the flag is a horizontal tricolor of green, yellow, and red, and historically these colors have been used ever since about the 13th century with the Solomonic dynasty. The green represents the hope for the future as well as the land's fertility, the yellow represents peace and harmony between the various ethnic and religious groups that inhabit the country, and the red stands for strength. And... yeah, that was a great animation, wasn't it? Yeah, that was actually made by our favorite Irishman, Potter. Thank you, Potter, for sending that. Potter is still on his cross-global journey, and I think he sent that to me from a hotel in Kazakhstan. I think he's camping in the middle of some desert in the Himalayas, and last I checked, he grew this sweet beard, and he shook hands with a cardboard cutout of Obama for some reason. Thanks, Potter, you rock. And speaking of long-term world travel, this episode is brought to you by one of the best resources on information on travel, Audible.com. For those who don't know, Audible.com is a great website with audiobooks and a lot of other good resources. I totally recommend reading the book Vagabonding by Rolf Potts. He's this really cool guy who went all the way around the entire world in 6 weeks without any luggage. And if you use the link audible.com/geography, you can get this book or any other one for free with a 30-day trial. So once again, a free audiobook with a 30-day trial. Isn't that pretty cool? That's awesome, right? Yeah, go for it. So once again, audible.com, thank you so much for helping us out here at Geography Now. You are really appreciated. Love you guys. Thanks a lot. Now, just like other flags, Ethiopia contains the emblem, not the coat of arms, but an emblem on its flag. The emblem is a yellow pentagram star on a blue circular shield. The blue represents peace, the star stands for diversity and unity, and the rays of light represent prosperity. Now let's talk about historical symbolism. This flag is actually kind of relatively recent as it was adopted in 1996. Prior to that, they actually had a transitional period. And then prior to that, they had a democratic republic that didn't really administer the regions very well. And then prior to that, they had the communist Derg, and then prior to that, they had the empire. These were the three former emblems used during the transitional period, the democratic republic period, and the communist Derg period. As you can see, there was a common theme of using labor and industrial images to portray the hardworking people group alongside with wreaths and cultural symbols. One important note to take is that the tricolors are actually the primary source of the Pan-Africanist movement, which influenced a ton of other African states to follow along and do the same color scheme of green, yellow, and red on their flags. Many African states saw Ethiopia as inspirational for having successfully fought against so many outside forces for so long, which brings us to that very short period of time during 1936. Italy was the closest outside force that came to colonizing Ethiopia, even though the occupation only lasted 5 years and it was never short of conflict from the inside. During the brief Italian occupation, they designated 4 governorates, each with a coat of arms under the Italian Empire, right as World War II erupted into full-blown warfare. It's debatable whether or not you can actually call this brief period of time an Italian colony, but most people around the world would call it at best an unsuccessful occupation that didn't last that long. Which brings us to the Ethiopian Empire. As mentioned in the Ethiopia episode, Ethiopia was part of the Ethiopian empires and kingdoms that spanned millennia in the past. The flag of the emperor used the Lion of Judah in the center with the same color configuration. In the last years, the lion lost its crown and the cross staff was changed into a spear until the communist Derg came in and deposed the empire in 1974. During that time, they also had a coat of arms, which looked pretty intense. It had lions, angels, swords, halos, a throne, and a Star of David with a royal orb with a cross, tons of geese, writing, and curtains. And of course, today Rastafarians still use the Lion of Judah flag as a symbol for their religion, and they still believe Hallie Selassie is like a deity. So that's about it. Ethiopia has gone through a war zone of symbolic transitions, but in the end, the green, yellow, and red will always wave proudly in the air. This has been Flag Friday. If you've just been flagged, stay cool, stay tuned.